Welcome back to Mornings in Winterthur. My name's Mike Gray, and I'm a pastor in the Swiss Reformed Church here in town. I usually work in German, but during these coronavirus days, I've decided to reach out to other English-speaking internationals in town and to kind of take care of my own sanity and spiritual health by reading the Bible texts that you find on the Moravian Church's website, their daily readings, and then finishing up with the prayer that you find on their English language website, and in between offering a few thoughts of my own. Right now, I'm doing these meditations on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. This meditation would have been out a good deal earlier, but the first time I thought I'd recorded it and tried to upload it to YouTube, and it turned out no recording. So, take two. Tuesday, April 7, year 2020. The King of Israel, the Lord, is in your midst. You shall fear disaster no more. That's from Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 15. In the New Testament, we have, Jesus said to his disciples, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" That's from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, verse 40. For a few years in our old parish on the Lake of Zurich, we lived in a parsonage or a manse with a hyperactive fire alarm. No one ever quite figured out why it was doing the things it did, and they ended up having to replace the entire alarm. But for a long period of time, this fire alarm would just go off, typically in the middle of the night, if possible at 2 o'clock in the morning, for absolutely no reason that anybody ever managed to divine. Also, this was an old, very, very big heritage home with a super industrial strength fire alarm designed to be heard not only throughout a huge building, but also even outside in the garden. And I will never forget those lovely nights at 2 o'clock in the morning when I ran down barefoot in winter, in my underwear, standing in front of this stupid alarm system, trying to remember the code that I had to type in as the thing blared into my ears. Sorry, I may be getting just a little bit over emotional about this. I think I may just have been a tiny bit traumatized by the experience. In any case, when we talk about fear and anxiety, for a lot of us, our fears and anxieties can be something like a hyperactive fire alarm system. In two senses. One is that fear and anxiety is not a bad thing. We need the capacity to have these emotions that warn us and tell us, hey, look out, something bad may be approaching. Be prepared to deal with it. The problem is when our fear systems, our danger alarm systems go off in the middle of the night for no real reason, or overreact to things that aren't really all that bad. This is something I happen to know a good deal about. I've lived for a lot of my life with pretty significant levels of anxiety. Sometimes I also wonder if we internationals in general perhaps live with a bit more anxiety and actually not completely irrational fears than folks who live in the countries that they've grown up in. I think for us internationals, there's often just an underlying unsettled feeling that we don't quite understand the language. We don't quite get the culture. We might be making a mistake, but we're not sure what it is. In any case, that's not really my topic today, but just thought I'd throw that out there. As someone who lives with fears and anxieties, I actually have some mixed feelings about the Old Testament text I just read. The King of Israel, the Lord, is in your midst. You shall fear disaster no more. You know, there's an obvious preacher thing to say when you read a text like that. And it's to say, well, first of all, disasters really do happen. But second of all, we don't have to fear them. And as far as that goes, that makes sense. And I think there are some people who are really good at doing that. It's saying, okay, bad stuff may happen, but hey, don't worry, be happy and stuff. Look, for me, it's not that easy. In fact, for me, a lot of times the disaster itself kind of comes with a sense of relief. You're so scared that you might get fired from your job that when it finally happens, you're like, finally, I can stop being scared about it and start doing something about it. You're so tense about maybe an angry colleague calling you up on something that when it finally happens, you can actually relax a little bit. Okay, the fear stage is past. Now we can start dealing with the things we were afraid of. Oh, yeah, and viruses. I actually read an article just 2 days ago, I believe it was in The Atlantic, but I might be wrong, that psychologists have noticed that a number of people with persistent anxiety syndromes have actually seen their level of anxiety come down during these virus days as opposed to going up. Because now the terrible thing has happened and they can just start dealing with it. And also, in comparison to a lot of other folks, dealing with fear, that's like, they're old pros. Anyway, saying disasters do happen, but fear doesn't have to happen, I think that doesn't quite measure up to the way we human beings experience this world. This world is filled with bad things. Some of those bad things are outside of us, but some of those bad things are inside of us. And which kind of bad thing, the external or the internal bad things, is worse? Well, that really depends on a whole lot of stuff. And yet, when I find myself struggling with questions like these, I also come back to something that I keep saying about what it means to trust in the God that Jesus talked about. To trust in the God of Jesus does not mean that I can ever contradict that there are bad things in this universe. Bad things outside of me that objectively happen, and bad things inside of me about the way that I react to the world around me. Disasters will happen, and I will sometimes have fear and anxiety. However, to trust in God means to believe that there is a deeper reality at work in this universe. It means to trust that God's power is deeper and greater than the bad stuff. However real all the messed upness of this universe may be, the goodness is even more real. So, next time I'm freaking out about whatever my next phase of anxiety may be, I'll try to remember that, and you might want to try that too. Here's today's prayer. Help us, Lord, for we are so often afraid. Take away the fear that robs us of our best selves and robs you of our service. Make us brave to live for you. Amen. Well, stay safe, keep hope, be wise about where you go. Face your fears with trust in God. And may God bless us and keep us. Bye now.